Hello, my name is Joel, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Share Deck. Today I'm going to be doing another 5-color Commander Deck Tech for Ramos, the Dragon Engine. So this deck is a artifact creature deck with an emphasis on colored artifact creatures that have colored mana. So we'll be able to put +1/+1 counters on Ramos, which would then lead me to gain 5 +1/+1 counters. Then will let me add 5 mana, or I'm sorry, not 5, 10 mana, which is going to be useful for a lot of the spells that I have. So that is pretty much the goal of the deck. It has a minor Reanimator sub-theme to it. So that's pretty much it. And then I'll be doing something a little bit different. So rather than starting off with the lands, I'll start it off. The lands will be in the end part. So it will be the last thing that's going to be, that'll be the last section of the deck. So we'll start off with some of the spells. And hopefully they'll be a little bit different and has a much more better flow to it. So without further ado, let's get started. So we have Noxious Gearhulk. So this is a removal spell. So this is removal pretty much. So like I said, this is a hard artifact creature theme deck. So pretty casual. So duplicate, it's removal. Triplicate Titan. So this is a card that I want to put in the graveyard to reanimate later. So Combustible Gearhulk. This is a Reanimator target. Spank Summoner is a tutor. Alibu Ancient Witness. So this is my only haste enabler in the deck. So if I'm able to play a lot of the artifacts, I'll be able to put them directly in the field. Then I'll be able to one-shot somebody when this attacks, or whenever they attack, or whenever my army attacks. So since it will deal X damage to any target equal to the number of tapped artifacts I control. So since this is an artifact deck, so I'll have a lot of that. Lodestone Golem. So this is kind of annoying because it also affects me. Then I do have a few spells, non-artifact spells, so it'll hurt my opponents more than it will hurt me. So that's my thinking with having this card in the deck. So Armix Filigree Trasher. It is a removal, very conditional removal, but it does fill up my graveyard to help me build my graveyard, so I have a lot of Reanimator targets. Meteor Golem, it's removal. Arcanist Owl, so it's a card selection card. It does let me dig 4 deep. So Glass Dust Hulk. So this is whenever an artifact comes into play, it becomes unblockable and gains a +1/+1. Since I do have a lot of cards that will let me put artifacts in the field a lot of it all at once, so I'll be able to one-shot somebody with this and it becoming unblockable too. And then if I don't need it right off the bat, then I'll be able to just cycle it away. Good. Master of Ethereum bumps my army, and at the same time it gets bigger, equal to the number of artifacts I control. So Maya Retriever. So whenever it dies, I get to return an artifact from the graveyard to my hand, so which is good, since I do have a lot of permanents that sacrifices an artifact. So let's get this closer. That's good. Junk Diver is the same thing, pretty much. Chief of Foundry pumps my army. Baleful Strix. It lets me draw a card. It is a good blocker, and it also has 2 colors to it. So whenever I cast it, I get to put 2 +1/+1 counters on Ramos. So it's a good thing. Audacious Reshapers. So this, I have a lot of mana rocks in the deck. So whenever I'm in the late game and I need to cycle away a mana rock, I'll use this, and hopefully I'll be able to get a good creature. For example, like a Triplicate Titan. Which is a 9/9, which is good. Or a Noxious Gearhole, which is a 5/4, and it destroys a creature. So those are the cards that I want to hit with this. Sometimes you whiff, but I think that's pretty much part of the game. Bronze Guardian. So this is a good card. It protects my army because all my artifacts gains Ward 2. So, and it gains a power equal to the number of artifacts I have. So having double strike is pretty much is a good card. Edersworn Adjudicator, removal. Ruin Grinder. So I do run out of cards in my hand, so having this fills up my hand when it dies. Then it doesn't hurt that it also has mountain cycling, so if I don't need it right away, I'll at least I'll be able to fix my mana, because it will let you search for a mountain. So it's not a basic mountain, a mountain card, so I can be able to use it to find dual lands with it. So Treasure Keeper, I do have a lot of stuff that sacrifices my artifact creatures, so this is very good. So if I do sacrifice this, at least I'll get a little bit of value out of it. Scrap Troller, this is the same thing. So whenever an artifact with dies, I get to return an artifact with lesser value, so this is good. Wormcoil Engine, it's a beater. At the same time, when it dies, I get to put 2 3/3 creatures. One has lifelink and one has Death Touch, which is not bad. Sphinx of the Steel Wind, it's a Reanimator target. Brea Ethereum Shaper, so this is good with if I have Ramos the Dragon Engine in play, so it will at least give me 4 +1/+1 counters right off the bat if I'm casted with Ramos in the field. Smuggler's Copter, so this fills up my graveyard, and it also, at the same note, it also gives me a little bit of card selection too. Kuldota Forge Master, so whenever I'm done with my mana rocks, I'll be able to sacrifice them and then look for an artifact that'll hopefully help me win the game. Steel Overseer, so it's good if I have Ramos the Dragon Engine out. Spark Hunter Masticore, it helps me build up my graveyard, because whenever it comes into play, I get to discard a card, and then if I do have a lot of high casting cost cards in my hand, then I'll at least get something out of it, and it could take out a Planeswalker with ease with it. Angel of Ruin, it's the same thing as Mountain Glider, somewhat. Yeah, Mountain Grinder. Yeah, I'm sorry, not Mountain. A Ruin Grinder, but it has Plane Cycling instead. So you could take out at least an artifact or an enchantment. So Verdurious Gearhole is a most valuable card for this deck, since if you have Ramos the Dragon Engine out in the field, and if you cast Verdurious Gearhole, at least it'll get a +1/+1 counter. And then when it enters the battlefield, you put the 4 +1/+1 counters on Ramos, and you have 5 right off the bat, which means that you will get 10 mana, which will be able to power out some of the powerful green spells that I have, like Genesis Wave or a Primal Surge. So good cards. One of the cards that I do want to search out if I have Ramos in the field. Codex Shredder, it's a recursion, so I need to have a way to return a Genesis Wave or a Primal Surge, so this is a card that I would use. So we're here at the Reanimators section, so let's get a little bit closer. So bring her to White Dawn, self-explanatory. During my upkeep, I return an artifact from the graveyard to play, so it's good. Wake the Pass. Return all artifact cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, and they gain haste. We got Sharoom. So this is a Reanimator. The Ready. The +2 fills up my graveyard, and then the -2 becomes an becomes a reanimator. So reanimates one of my artifacts. So Glisa the Trader. So this is a very good card. I'm testing it out. So whenever an opponent's creatures die, I get to return an artifact, which is good. So, and the casting cost is not really hard since I do have a lot of touches in this deck. Goblin Welder is a reanimator. Scarecrow lets me draw a card and I get to reanimate an artifact. Creature. Trash for Treasure is the same, it's a reanimator. So we're here at the what would you do if you have 10 mana section. So you'll have Sahila's Directive, which is a little bit worse than Genesis Wave, but it is because since it only cares about artifacts. So, but it does have the improvise ability. So since a lot of my artifacts are artifact creatures, so it does help. So a little bit. So we got here Genesis Wave. So once you have 10 mana, if you get 5+1/+1 counters on Ramos, and if you have this on play, then you'll be able, realistically, you'll have at least a little bit more mana left on the field. So you'll be able to play it for 15. And then most of the time that'll be enough for you to win the game. So we got Primal Surge. It's pretty much the same. So whenever I get 5+1/+1 counters on it, and if I have this on the field, I'm going to play it right away. Since it has 10 and this casting cost is 10, play it. Hopefully we don't whiff early. If it doesn't, then if it does get going, it does get going. So I'll be able to dig deep into my library. So Executioner's Capsule is very good with Glisa. So I'll be able to destroy a creature with it and return the Executioner's Capsule with it. So I'll be able to kind of cycle it a couple of times. So Unwinding Clock lets me untap all my artifacts during each player's untap step, which is good. Trading Post gives me a little bit of that versatility. So I could say sacrifice a creature and return an artifact from my graveyard to my hand. So it's a little bit of recursion, and it's a card draw too. So since I have a lot of creatures that doesn't mind dying, it'll let me draw a card. Thirst of Knowledge does build up my graveyard, and at the same note, it also lets me draw 3 cards. So it's an instant. So Birthing Pod. So like I was saying earlier, most of the time I'm trying to build up to find a Verdurious Gearhulk, and then which is this bad boy, and try to put it on Ramos, the Dragon Engine, the +1/+1 counters. So which is good. So it is tutor too. So Thermal Script, my lone graveyard hate card. Scourglass, lone board wipe. So we're here in the ramp section. So we'll skip this through it. So we have a lot of the talismans. So we got Talisman of Impulse, Foundry Inspector, which is good. Soul Ring, Spear of the Suns to give me a little bit of that mana fixing. And if I do run out of charge counters, I could just sacrifice it to gain some value off of it. So we got Talisman of Unity, Talisman of Progress, Boros Signet, since I don't have the red-white Talisman. Voldakan Engineer. All right, let's get a little bit closer here. All right. Commander Spear, I can sacrifice it to draw a card. Arcane Signet, Simic Signet, Talisman of Dominance, Talisman of Hierarchy, Talisman of Creativity, a Felwar Stone, Talisman of Indulgence, and we're here at the lands. So the lands are pretty much the same as all my other decks, so this just pretty much just gets transferred. So we'll breeze through this real quick. So we got a Mana Confluence, City of Brass, Command Tower, a Reflecting Pool, and Exotic Orchard. And we have 4 of the Triumphs. I'm missing the Jeskai one. So 10 of the, let's get closer here. 10 of the Ravnica Dual Lands. 9 of the fetches. I'm missing Scalding Tarn. And then, let's get closer. 2 of the basic land fetches. So we got Prismatic Vista and Fabled Passage. And 1 of each land, basic land, so which is a mountain, a forest, an island, a swamp, and last is a plains. So with that, that is it for Ramos the Dragon Engine. Hopefully you enjoyed the deck tech. So please share, subscribe, and like. All right, thank you. All right, bye-bye.